The new Baton Rouge has changed a lot, but in order to see how it got this way, let's head back to where we left off. After Boosie moved to Atlanta, South Baton Rouge was still all together. In fact, a lot of people would still call the top and bottom family at that point, despite all the internal affairs. So let me recap for those of you who don't know. South Baton Rouge has two groups. First, you have TBG, also known as Top Boy Gorilla. They represent the top of South Baton Rouge. And then you have BBG, who represent the bottom. Anyways, as the years went by, some members ended up in Angola, others at Winfield, and a small few were able to successfully leave that life. And that leads us to the new TBG. Let me break it down. TBG began having a new leader, a young man by the name of Garrett Burton, also known as G Money. He grew up in the Glen Oaks neighborhood of North Baton Rouge. And I know that may sound confusing, but neighborhoods don't matter at all. Instead, it's all about who you roll with. And G Money was introduced to TBG through his uncle who goes by Cleasy5. Anyways, without a mother or father present in his life, G Money had to fend for himself at a very young age. He also had the responsibility of watching over his younger brother named Lil Herc, and this guy is pretty important to the story. But at a certain point in his childhood, his living situation became so staggeringly bad that a close friend of his would allow him to come stay with him. That would be Frederick Givens, also known as Fredo Bang, and here is the house they lived in together. When I say that Baton Rouge is on a different level of trenches, believe me, the fact that this house was a step up for G Money is hard to imagine. But this is just a regular thing for the kids in Baton Rouge, abandonment and poverty. But regardless of their unfortunate upbringing, the teenagers would come together and begin making hit songs and catching fire in Baton Rouge. They signed to the local TBG Records, and that's how they were first able to get off their feet. And this is around the time that G Money's brother Lil Herc began bringing around his best friend from North Baton Rouge. That would be a kid by the name of Kentrell Gallman, also known as YoungBoy. Kentrell grew up in North Baton Rouge on 38th and Chippewa. He and Lil Herc were inseparable as kids, like the closest that best friends can possibly be. And they say friendship is based on commonalities, so it's no wonder that YoungBoy instantly clicked with Herc, G Money, and the rest of TBG. They all had the exact same story. YoungBoy's father was never around, and according to him, his mother wasn't around either. So for most of his childhood, he was left to fend for himself and grow up way too early. After doing a juvenile bid, Lil Herc would introduce him to his older brother G Money. And at this point, YoungBoy's living situation had gotten so bad that G Money actually had to move into his place. And sadly, this is when division would begin, but not exactly how you would imagine. YoungBoy would get into a dispute with his cousin named Boozilla over some stolen money. Boozilla, who is a certified BBG member, was not happy, and according to G Money, he tried to line up his own cousin for the back door. So in response to his cousin, YoungBoy would begin rolling with TBG for his own protection. He was so embedded within TBG that you can even see him wearing their apparel. So G Money pretty much became a big brother for YoungBoy, and they were all against Boozilla and the rest of BBG. While TBG Records ended up signing YoungBoy to an awful deal with no cash advance or industry push. And in all honesty, their focus was on G Money, and YoungBoy was kind of an afterthought. So after months of not getting paid, YoungBoy distanced himself from TBG and created his own group. That would be NBA, also known as Never Broke Again. And here is the big dilemma. YoungBoy had just burnt the bridge with G Money and the rest of TBG, and he had previously burnt the bridge with Boozilla and BBG, so he had to swallow his pride one way or the other, because in Baton Rouge, having multiple rivals is a recipe for disaster. So finally, YoungBoy decided to rekindle his relationship with his cousin Boozilla and start rolling with BBG, and this here G Money one bid. He felt betrayed by YoungBoy, and he's not really wrong for that. But in his defense, he really needed to go elsewhere due to the lack of money. But maybe joining forces with his rivals was a savage move. So G Money would get back at him in the pettiest way possible. He allegedly would have an affair with YoungBoy's sister, and to make everything worse, he would rap about it and then talk about it in an interview.
Not really. He mad about his sister too, though.
About his sister?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he mad about that.
Although this may seem like just a petty move between friends, in Baton Rouge, this is enough to start a rivalry.